beautiful humans. I am coming to you from the forest of Ontario, Canada. I really felt like this was sort of a fairy vibe. I've got my stick here. Funny enough, my this walking stick, it's actually my wife's and it was right beside our bed, so I figured I would grab it just 'cause it's a vibe, but I'm gonna put it down. Um, So, I had a great conversation today with my beautiful, wonderful fairy folk. And I don't know, maybe you're new to the channel, so welcome, and hopefully you subscribe. But, I channel different beings, a lot off planet interdimensional, but I feel so closely connected with the elemental beings. And typically, when I travel, I always tune into the elementals of the land and have some pretty epic conversations. So, that's a huge part of me. It's just not a part that I talk about or explore publicly often. It just feels like more of a personal vibe. So today, instead of freely talking about the elementals, I'm actually going to read a script. This is a conversation that I had about 2 hours ago. Now, a couple days ago, I had a really great conversation with some of the fairy beings that live in our woods here in Ontario, Canada. And that conversation from a couple of days ago prompted me to be like, wow, like people need to know about this. Typically, if I'm channeling or having like a one-on-one conversation, I'll type it out. A lot of the time, it's for clarity, just for clarity in the conversation. And then also, the channeling is so quick that typing is much easier than writing, and I can read it a lot better than my own handwriting. But that being said, I usually print it. My printer is totally out of ink. I'm going to be looking down and reading off of my laptop, which is where I tracked the conversation from today. So just an FYI, if I'm looking down, it's because I'm actually reading verbatim the conversation I had with one of these fairy beings. I'm so excited to get into the fairies and the elementals. Before we deep dive, really quick, I've got the Galactic Federation meeting coming up tomorrow. I'm so excited. I always have such a great time with our friends up there, and there is a lot going on. So, if you want to know about things like the Collective Mind Control Program, Earth Angels, 5G, the Reptilian Battle, and so much more, check that out. It'll be season 2024, episode 6. All right. And then also coming up on June 20th, summer solstice, we have a huge sale happening. And, I'd like to say this is probably a once a year type of sale. I really don't know if we have any plans later on, but everything site wide is 33% off. So that course, that workshop, that Galactic Federation bundle, you can pre-purchase the entire 2024 Galactic Federation summits, or 2023, 2022, 2021 Galactic Federation summits if you really want to binge watch some incredibly activating content. So check that out. That's happening coming up. Just fair warning on that. Without further ado, of course, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell for notifications, and share to your fairy friends. All right, let's go. Okay, so me. Hello, fairies. Oh, and I want to mention something. So when I talk to really any beings, like whether they be earthbound or elemental or whatever, I'll remote view to them. So I was sitting in my office on our property, and then I remote viewed into the forest. They typically stay in the forest, and they don't usually come out to the cleared area. So I went to them. That's pretty much the same process as the Galactic Federation. All right. Hello, fairies. I'm here with a group of humans and wanted to know more about you. Is that okay if I record this conversation and share it with them? I had to ask permission because I know they can be kind of, not secretive, but private. I think the elementals are very private beings, so I wanted to ask permission. So the fairies responded, yes, that would be okay with us. Me. So let's just start off by introducing us to who you are and where you live. Fairies. Hello, my name is Rosalie, which is interesting. I've never even asked her, or at least any of them, their name before. I am the head of human elemental relations here on this land. I oversee any issues arising between the humans and the land they occupy. Me. Is this a position that is common among all groups of elementals? Rosalie. Yes, this position is necessary across all areas of Earth. Me. Can you give me an example of an issue that you would encounter with the humans? Rosalie. Mostly, I deal with humans disrespecting the land, the trees, and the environment around them. Sometimes they will cut a tree down for no apparent reason or kill an animal just for fun. This hurts us deeply. Me. When those acts are committed, what do you do, or what can you do about them? Rosalie. We will usually hold a meeting with the elders of the community and discuss possible next steps. Sometimes if we know ahead of time, we can minimize the damage, relocate animals or elementals that were occupying that space. We can also help younger animals find food and shelter if their parents were taken from them. Me. What is your overall opinion of humans? Rosalie. Most are not bad, they are just ignorant. There are bad ones who always seem to want more and don't consider the pain they are inflicting through chasing their desires. Then there are good ones like you who feel and see what we feel and see. You ask permission before chopping down a branch or say hi to us when entering the woods. We understand a change is taking place and are seeing more humans with compassion rather than neglect. Me. That's a very fair and even forgiving opinion of humans. Thank you for sharing. So the other day when I was having a conversation with you, or one of you, and I asked about the growling in the woods, can you just explain that situation again so that others can understand it as well? Now I'm going to side note here and mention, so we've been, and thank you so much for that super chat, Nicole. We've been on this land for, this will be our 4th summer, but technically kind of 3 years. And twice now, so a lot of, we'll get like our kind of hippie spiritual friends in Ontario together, kind of my OG spiritual community. So I'll invite them to the property and we'll have like big bonfires and all of that. And I always tell them, be respectful, say hi to the fairies, that kind of stuff. And twice now, it happened once last summer and then once the summer before that. I had a bunch of friends walking in the woods. It was pitch black, middle of the night. They had a flashlight and they heard growling. So they were walking, not on any particular path, but they heard this really strong growl. And when they said they got freaked out and they came out and they told me about it, I was kind of confused because I've never ever felt malicious energy. Like it just feels like this land is so sacred and so protected. And I don't know why I just never channeled it, but it was just never clear to me. I'm like, okay, well, that was weird. Then when it happened the second time last summer, it was really bizarre. And different people, it was different people that it happened to. So I asked Rosalie about this, or at least one of the fairies about this a couple days ago. I was just sort of tuning into them and said, hey, we're back. I've been taking Bodhi in the woods and just telling him to wave at all the fairies, and he has been. And so I asked her, I said, hey, I don't know if you can answer this, but what do you think about this growling? Like, what is this? Is there a spirit? Was it I don't know if we have coyotes around here, but like what was going on? And I didn't know if she could respond to me, and she did a couple days ago. So I wanted her to expand on that today for all of you. And this was really fascinating. So here's what she said about it. I said, can you just explain what was going on with the growling in the woods? And Rosalie said, surely. So when we feel threatened or infringed upon, we have certain tools we can use to prevent the clashing of our woods, or sorry, clashing of our worlds. We have certain tools we can use to prevent the clashing of our worlds. So when your friends got close to some sacred ground, we created an audible deterrent, and it worked. So I just like it never occurred to me that the growling was actually the fairies trying to deter my friends from going into a place that they shouldn't be. So that is very cool that you can do that. And I will remind my friends to stay vigilant and respectful when out there, which, to be honest, they all are very respectful. What other mechanisms do you use to communicate with us? I'm just curious. Rosalie, we live in a different dimension, so there are very few ways we can influence your world. Once again, we can recreate audible sounds that we have heard before, like a mimic of sorts. We sometimes use bird songs to communicate when in a populated location so as to not be found out. We can also sometimes move plants and foliage as well if needed. Most of the time we are aware of humans and humans are not aware of us. Super fascinating. Me, very interesting. Can you explain to us what the structure of your village is? And by structure, I sort of meant like social. What is the social structure? Rosalie, yes, we have around 50 of us here. Many of the groups around this location are smaller and closely relationed. Don't know if that's a word. We have fairy beings as well as elves, which are tiny looking humans. I sometimes call them gnomes. She was calling them elves. They are considered the ancient knowledge keepers, and the fae are considered the balance or peacekeepers. Both play an important role. Me, I have so many questions. I'm going to list off a few here. What is the lifespan of both a fairy and an elf? What do you eat or do you eat? And most importantly, can we see you or is that not possible? Which is funny because she did just mention that most humans can't. Okay, Rosalie. I'm enjoying this conversation very much. It isn't often I get to speak with a human. I will be so excited to relay this conversation to our community. Fairies don't typically have a lifespan. We can come and go as we are assigned. The elves, however, have more density and therefore do have an end and a beginning. They can live anywhere between 65 and 100 Earth years, similar to humans. Fairies don't need to eat. We are more energy substance, therefore energy will feed us. Elves eat from the land and they do not need much. Only the highly sensitive, like you, can see fairies. The elves are more dense and can be seen more often. This is why they live very far into the woods and hide frequently when someone or something is coming around. They have great hearing and a strong sense of smell. They can be a grumpy folk, whereas fae people are usually lighthearted and love to play, almost like children. Please understand that I am referencing what I know here in this location. There are many different types of elementals around the world, and all I know is what we have. Me. Wow, okay, thank you for that. You had mentioned the other day that the earth was crying. This is fascinating. Can you elaborate on the point here? When I checked in with the fairies the other day, a couple days ago, they told me that the earth was crying. And we got into it, and this is when I really knew I needed to do this video. Rosalie. Yes, Gaia is sad. Parts of her are dying. Much of her is not being respected. Humans seem to be so caught up in fighting each other, they have no regard for the pain they are inflicting on the planet. More love, more respect is needed. Me. So even though you aren't necessarily in a war zone, you can still feel what's taking place? Rosalie. Oh yes, it is our duty to know what Gaia is feeling, try and help her. We can also move through portals to other locations in order to share knowledge or gain tools if needed. Me. So what does your little village do when the earth is hurting? What can you do? Rosalie. We try not to mourn. We keep our pocket of land harmonious, beautiful, and thriving. If some of us are needed elsewhere, we will go if we feel called. We always try and keep the peace on the land, but it can be hard when dealing with humans who do not feel what we feel. Me. Now that you are talking to my own community of humans who want to help and want to feel, what could you recommend to us? How can we help you? Rosalie. It is not my place to tell you how to behave. However, if you have land, keep it beautiful. Let it go wild. Allow for the natural foliage and animals to enter the space. Commune with nature as if it is a sacred elder with wisdom to share. Teach others how to do the same. Value every fruit, every vegetable, every plant with great admiration. We are all desiring to work with you, not against you. Me. That is some really incredible advice. Thank you so very much. This conversation alone has impacts beyond what you or I could imagine. Is there anything else you would like to let us know before we leave off? Rosalie. We are the children of this planet. And so are you. We desire to know you and aid you as it was before. Please slow down. Listen and feel. There's so much beauty and knowledge to absorb. Thank you for connecting with us today. We are very grateful for your presence here, and it gives us much hope for the future. Me. Thank you, Rosalie, and all who are with you for protecting, nurturing, and healing our land. There were so many other questions I could have asked and I thought of later, but we will leave it there. I think it was some really incredible information to get to know our elemental friends a little bit better. They are our neighbors, and without knowing it, they're everywhere. Of course, especially in densely wooded and natured areas. So please respect the land, respect Mother Gaia, and keep your little pocket beautiful. And they can and will come around. So I just love and appreciate the elementals so, so much. They are just so near and dear to my heart. I really appreciate and love all of you for being here. So keep up the good work. Once again, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you tomorrow for an absolutely incredible Galactic Federation Summit where we are going off planet to talk to all of our great friends up there. As always, I will see all of you in the new Earth frequency. Bye for now.